TD Ryan Unleashed is brought to you by Scott Zyman, your State Farm Insurance agent. Scott can help you save money bundling your home and auto insurance. Call 815-748-3101 or stop by at 2587 Sycamore Road, Suite D in Dekalb. Like a good neighbor, Scott Zyman and State Farm are there. Pizza Villa, pizza, pasta, sandwiches, and more at 824 West Lincoln Highway in Dekalb. For delivery or pickup, call 815-758-8116 or go to pizzavilla.com. My Insurance Guys in Sycamore, family owned, local, reliable. My Insurance Guys cover Medicare to auto and everything in between. Call us in Sycamore at 815-899-0950. My Insurance Guy, business, auto, home, life, and health at myinsurancegui.com. And Eldercare Services of Dekalb County, safe, secure, and supported, helping you stay at home where you want to be. Call 815-758-6550 or stop in at 1701 East Lincoln Highway in Dekalb or on the web at ecsdekalb.org. Welcome to TD Ryan Unleashed, podcast number 23. Very excited. Fathers of Faith Incorporated. Going to learn about that. I want to thank my nephew, Ethan Davis, for making this happen. We appreciate that, Nathan, and of course, all the Ethan and all our wonderful sponsors for allowing us to be here today. And we are truly excited. As you can tell, I'm truly excited. We have Marshall Hendricks here with us. Marshall is with Fathers of Faith Incorporated. Marshall, how you doing this morning, man?
Man, I'm great, man. I'm blessed.
I am so glad that you are here. You know, I found your article in the newspaper about Diapers for Dads, and I was wondering about that. Fathers of Faith Inc., very catchy. Diapers for Dads is the reason I cut the article out of the newspaper there. Tell us about, are you looking for catchy slogans like that to attract followers? Because you certainly attracted me.
Well, you know, I think it was something that showed from a premise of my personal journey and what we are striving to achieve to support fathers. So just seemed a little catchy, Diapers for Dads, you know.
Well, it certainly works. Now, you know, I lost my dad at the age of 13, and I know how important it is, growing up without a father. You know, my coaches and my brothers helped out a lot, too. But I want to read your vision statement, which I think really incorporates what you guys are talking about. We envision a future where every father, regardless of the background or circumstances, is equipped to thrive, lead, and be present in the lives of their children, contributing to stronger families and healthier societies. At the heart of our work is a commitment to advancing God's kingdom through restoration, justice, and love. Two things really hit me on that one, Marshall. First one is stronger families, and talk about that, why that's so important.
Yeah, so our position is really, our belief is fathers, right? Our fathers, if we empower our fathers, you know, they're going to empower those families. Mm-hmm. Those families are going to then empower those neighborhoods and communities, and it's going to have this ripple effect. So our whole goal was to strengthen the families, but we need to start with the fathers first.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
And again, so important. And then I also want to mention the other statement, your mission statement, and that at Fathers of Faith, Inc., we strive to empower hope, dignity, and equity for fathers impacted by family court, parental alienation, unjust systems, custody disputes, and emotional hardship, restoring their voice and presence through faith, advocacy, and social action. Just take us through that, Marshall. So faith, how are you going to bring them back through faith?
Well, you know, faith is the main goal behind what we do. You know, churches, organizations, buildings, schools are all built on faith. And, it says faith without action is nothing. So our belief is that we provide faith education to fathers to understand how to transition and go through these times, these navigation of hard times. That's going to help kind of propel them into the right direction. But it all starts with faith.
I love that. You know, I always use the example of when you're on an airplane and the oxygen thing drops down. You got to get your oxygen mask on first yourself, right, before you can start helping other people.
That's right.
So you're helping people get that oxygen mask.
We're helping people transform the mind, okay? And that's what I want to kind of, delve deeper into is the transformation of the mind. A lot of men struggle in silence, while they're going through these different hardships, navigating parental alienation, separation from their child, divorce. Those are all things that men walk around every day, fathers walk around every day in silence, and that has a whole effect on the community itself. Fathers who are experiencing depression, isolation, have a dignity issue there. Their dignity is ripped from them. So we want to instill that faith-based education and let them know, hey, it may not seem like things are going your right way right now, but if you keep pushing forward, in the right way and you're transforming your mind to not respond in anger, to not respond in malice, but to pray, to seek, divine intervention so that you can push through and have perseverance. That is where we're trying to get the men and fathers out here to get a hold of.
No, good answer there. Now, I'm 65 years old, and I was told ever since I was a little kid, pick yourself by your bootstrap, rub some dirt on it, and get over it, and we didn't worry about our emotional concerns then. And obviously it's hurt a lot of people through the years, but I interviewed some Marines on our suicide prevention show, and they were talking, and they said the most courageous thing they did was to ask for help. Wasn't to go fighting in a war somewhere or being shot at. It was asking for help, and that's really the big question, isn't it?
That's it. Providing a safe space, where fathers, men can come at whatever age. We have young fathers in Dekalb. We have fathers reunifiting with their kids after coming out of incarceration. So yeah, we definitely want to instill that in fathers to say, hey, it's okay to speak up and say, hey, we need help, because we all are in some way, shape, or form struggling with mental health issues, especially after COVID. We don't have to talk about COVID,
right?
But the mental health initiative that we're doing through Project Dads Against Depression, this is our pillar, one of our pillars. We want to make sure that fathers have a safe space, okay, to introduce the need for mental awareness, but then through the Diapers for Dads, that's the essential services aspect where we can make immediate impact for fathers who may not have resources. The one thing that I know, and it's very prevalent around here, is there's a lot of resources for mothers. And we love the moms.
Yes.
We love the moms. This is not a takeaway from the moms, but we want to provide resources to the fathers because there's a lack of support for the fathers. So we're filling that gap.
Yeah, you really got us thinking about that too, because in the article, the original article in the Chronicle, there you mentioned about SNAP. The SNAP program doesn't cover, was it diapers and baby formula for fathers, right?
Correct. That's correct. So we have these gaps in our society where we're trying to fill those, and if we can fill those, then we understand that we're going to be filling a lot of other gaps along the way. If we can support our fathers, crime rates are going to go down. Families are going to be strengthened. We're going to have less fatherless homes, which have an impact on children in school. So this is all going back and turning itself into empowering the father, and hopefully instilling in the fathers their natural right to understand, hey, you're a gift. You're a gift to be a father. You're empowered. You have a responsibility and a right to for your generations, right? If you lost your dad, and that just hurts my heart, because fathers are so important for so many different levels. Research based just proves that 2-parent households, or just having 2 parents in the life of a child, makes that child so much more efficient, and as a citizen of the United States, wherever they are, to push forward and be the best they can be.
It's interesting you mentioned the ripple effect, because we talk about that on the suicide prevention show, the fact that some person takes their life and then there's a ripple effect that affects families and generations from thereafter. But you're a positive ripple effect. This is where the fathers are learning, and that ripple goes out in a positive way, doesn't it?
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's an overwhelming response from fathers that are coming up to me. I had a father come up to me in the library lobby today. He goes, man, I thank you for what you're doing, because there's finally a place for us to speak up. There's somebody doing something for us. And we're still in developing. We're developing our programs. We're pushing forward. But God gave me this vision about 3 years ago, and it took flight on May 1st of 2025. And now we're seeing the effects. And going back to the faith aspect, TD, I didn't know how all this was going to go down.
No.
I didn't know how all this was going to transpire, but the community, our funders, our founders, founding people that are supporting us, they're just saying, man, this is a great thing, and it's going to be a great thing for the city of Dekalb, the county of Dekalb, the state of Illinois, and so forth.
Yeah, we are that ripple arm, because it's all going out from Dekalb.
That's right.
Let's talk about what you guys have accomplished. We're talking about fathers of faith, what they've accomplished just since it started on May 1st, and this only goes up to July 30. Who knows what you've done the last couple of weeks? But you became an IRS. What does that mean? A nonprofit. Why is that important, Marshall?
Well, that's very important, because we're federally recognized as of June 30th, 2025. Okay, and what that solidifies is that we can receive tax donations, gifts, donations that are fully tax exempt. It's unheard of. Like I said, we incorporated on May 1st. We put our ducks in a row. We had a strong mission, clear mission, with no room for mission drift. And it was something that was a very, very specific niche, right? You have a lot of father advocacy groups out there. We don't bash moms, so we're different there.
Right.
But then also we have the legal advocacy part of it, okay? and the faith-based education behind it. And with those three, you have a trifecta of divine power. So we're changing the stigma, we're changing the status quo, and we're looking forward to making big things happen.
And you're not stepping on anybody's toes, like you said, right? You're a unique entity, and then filling those voids.
That's right. And I pray every day. In the morning, I get up and say, "Hey, God, where do you want me to go? What direction do you want me to go? What ideas do you want me to have?" This is completely a kingdom assignment, because I woke up today and didn't know how this was going to go. But I will say that the Holy Spirit is guiding me, and He has His hand over this whole organization, from our partnerships that we are now collaborating with. We have some very, very strong partnerships with Dekalb Counseling, some other partnerships that I can't really express right now until we have things officially locked down, but we're growing quite so much.
Well, I was thrilled when you sent me an email and you said that you prayed on this, and you said that you thought that'd be a good thing to do, because that meant a lot to me, that you thought about this and prayed on it and decided to do this interview with me. So I really appreciate that.
I appreciate you.
So, I'll be honest, when I first read oh my God, they're going to try to help fathers in Dekalb County. How many fathers are actually going to help? But here, look at it, in the first 90 days, 44 fathers served through the direct support, court advocacy, and time of relief. Tell us about that, man. That's awesome. So, 44.
So we promoted a intake process through Google Forms, and just to see who was out there from the Diapers for Dads.
We say in advertising, run out the flagpole and see who salutes. So
right,
you run out the flagpole, see who's going to salute.
And so, went out and we got feedback. So we have men that are needing help. They're needing help in the right way. And so we're obviously providing something.
And these are the guys that were courageous enough to ask for the help. So imagine once that starts rolling.
There you go. We have a lot of onlookers that want to know, hey, is this thing real? What's he doing? Where is he from? What's he about? And, I can assure you guys that we're here to support the fathers, but they're loving it, and I think fathers have a historical history of not speaking up, like we talked about before.
Right.
So we walk around in silence, not knowing that the next father next to us is probably going through the same thing. But we've been taught, right, not to talk about our emotions, not to cry, not to speak up. And those have psychological effects on your internal well-being if you don't talk. So,
and that's building up over time.
That's
right?
building up over time. Yeah. So, our idea was to get to get a team of counseling therapists, licensed therapists that are faith-led, because we want to align with faith-led leaders and partnerships, because this is a kingdom assignment. But we wanted to provide that to let the fathers know, hey, there's free workshops out here. There's a free place, a safe place to come and share your thoughts in a very non-hostile, non-judgment zone where we can all heal.
Now, let me ask you about the faith. I grew up Catholic, and I was an altar boy. Grandma made me be an altar boy, and I had to do 6 o'clock mass during the week. That's a long story short. But then when I got older, I saw the hypocrisy of the church, I thought, anyway. So I still live my life as a good Christian, but I don't go to church per se. But this isn't, I don't have to be born again to join your organization, right?
Absolutely not. And on our website, we definitely make sure we put that this is inclusive of all fathers, no matter what their faith is. Our whole mission is to empower fathers. That's the main thing. It doesn't matter if you're Muslim or Catholic. Our foundation is Christian based, okay? But we're including everybody, because the whole goal is to empower the fathers.
I love it. So let's talk about some of you had 25 diaper emergency relief packs, 1,300 diapers, and 1,500 wipe donations with the Diaper for Dads of Dekalb. Tell me, but that's what a great, your first year doing that, man.
I was trying to shoot for the whole 100, man. When I first started out with this goal, I said, what is a smart goal, right? What can we do with zero funding, by the way? We did all this with zero funding.
Wow.
And I set out to serve 100 fathers, undeserved fathers in the DeKalb area, with 1 week's worth of diaper supplies. And so I don't know the last time you checked the numbers, but
I haven't. I'm sorry, this is an older. I should point that out. This is older,
Yeah, but we've actually served about 35 fathers in our first 100 days through this campaign. And so we're going to do a fall expansion. So this is going to keep going. It's the community has answered. They say, hey, we need it. And so we're going into our fall expansion campaign, where we're going to be doing diapers, toys, clothes for the upcoming holidays. But 35 fathers. And to see their face and to see and some of their partners even to say, wow, there's something out here for dads.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, some of the delivery, we actually hand delivered some of those. I think it was about 5 or 6 hand deliveries for those fathers who could not make it to the pop-ups, which also shows another barrier, right? A lot of fathers don't have the transportation to get to the services.
Right.
So we want to bring the services to them, and that's what we plan on.
All right, well, you got all the bases covered there. Now, we're going to get this later on, but the Custody Advocacy Toolkit, just tell us briefly what that is, Marshall.
Yeah, the Custody Advocacy Toolkit is a toolkit with a list of jargon, legal jargon. We have a questionnaire, a contact form. We pretty much share with our fathers the tools they need to step into the courtroom. I'm not an attorney, so I want to make that known. I'm not an attorney, but we are partnering with legal attorneys and counsel professionals who are advising, and that we can funnel if need be. But a lot of the time, CD, certain things you don't need an attorney for. And I think sometimes fathers feel that they're lost. Mm-hmm. They don't know the rules of the court. They don't know
everybody's against them. Would feel like
everybody's against them. They don't know what a pro se is, what a petitioner is. So just giving them the basic tools to understand, if you're going through this hardship, let's prepare you. Let's give you some tools so that you at least come into it with a basis of understanding, right? Because it says in all you get understanding. So that's what we're trying to provide here, is a basic understanding.
Hello, what's a pro se? I don't know what that is.
Pro se is when you represent yourself in court.
Okay.
So, and that's a very, you can tactfully do some of those things. I have a mentor, he says, do everything you can first until you need an attorney.
Okay.
Make sense?
Sure, because you can think you're doing everything right, but then the other attorney pulls some little trick on you, and then you're hanging in the wind there.
So to file a petition to modify or something like that is a basic tool that you could use, but a lot of times the fathers, we don't know this stuff. Mm-hmm. We only know what we don't know.
Right. That is so practical, man. That is great. So we talk some more about that. You did the pop-up event. Tell us about where that was, and then talk about that one-on-one response. Must be great.
Absolutely. We did our first community pop-up resource event at Cathedral. Shout out to COP. And it was just a great turnout. It was a very, very last-minute, quick.
That's what's been so impressive, that you guys have had the turnouts that you've had.
Yeah, once again, it's God's hand on this thing, man. Because I wake up and I'm like, hey, where are we going today? And he goes, this is what I need you to do. But that community resource event, we partnered with CCI and 4C's Childcare. Shout out to you guys as well. And we were so thankful and grateful to have Pastor Naitaka and the COP leadership team invite us into their space, because they believe in what we're doing. Their whole mission as well with fathers is to empower the fathers. So we're aligning with different organizations. We're aligning with different partnerships that allows us. But that was a great turnout. We served 3 fathers there that day. But just them coming in.
Oh, yeah. Just that one connection would be enough.
One connection was enough. And so that's the thing. If I could just help one father shrink the time or the effects of the gaps in what we can do for them, if I can shrink that down and we can be the provider, that's what we're here for.
And it benefits all of society, as you said, that ripple effect.
Everybody.
There you go. And I see you with churches as well, but then I want to give a shout out to Old National Bank, right? Old National Bank helping you guys out, right?
Oh, yeah. Old National Bank. Shout out to Andrew Miller and his team over there in Sycamore, Lourdes in this Sycamore branch, and then Cynthia over at the Lincoln Highway branch. All great partners. While I'm giving my partner shout out, I want to give a shout out to Christian Connection, Sherry and Kelly over there. Old National Bank has just been phenomenal. They welcomed us with open arms. They promoted our Diapers for Dads campaign, and it was just a phenomenal partnership.
And of course, now you've been featured in the Daily Chronicle, NIJ, and now you've hit the big time here. Ryan Unleashed.
That's right.
But how about that? I mean, have you reached out to the media? Did they reach out to you? Because that was such a unique thing that you came up with.
No, they reached out to me, and after this prayer and discernment, once again, I'm praying about everything, because I want to make sure that I'm representing the mission, the posture and the assignment that I've been given. But yeah, they reached out to me. We had a great talk. They were intrigued by what we were doing for the dads in the area, and the origin about that. So it was great.
We're talking to Marshall Hendricks about the Fathers of Faith Incorporated, just established about 3 months ago, and have covered so much ground already. Just amazing there. Now, again, we mentioned the Chronicle Diaper, but now who are you helping? We talked. You mentioned that earlier. I had a list. You have young fathers, single fathers, fathers reentering society from after incarceration, and faith-driven dads. So kind of a combination of the four.
That's right, man. We were opening up to all the fathers who want to be active in their children's lives. You know.
And that ebbs and flows, doesn't it, Marshall? At different times of our lives, we want to get involved with kids. We had other things going on, but then it ultimately gets back to wanting to be with the kids.
Exactly. It's about the kids, you know, because we're dealing with generational blessings here, right? And if the fathers knew how important it was to passing on not only their intangible inheritance, but their spiritual divine inheritance, it would change their outlook on how their goals and their traction, right, will affect generations to come. There's a poem called Bridge Builder. I encourage you to look it up, but it talks about building those bridges, not for us, but for the people that are coming, right? So that's what we're doing. We're building the bridges for the fathers of Dekalb and so forth, so that whatever we do here, we're planting those seeds. The father is going to come behind us and have a sturdy bridge to cross that.
And the shoulders of giants, as they say.
Right.
That's awesome, my friend. So let's talk about this diapers. Introduce a Father's Forward Walks. Tell us about that, because I think that's a neat deal. Because my wife and I, we walk a lot and we talk, and it's very spiritual. We can see the animals and everything. You kind of incorporate that, aren't you?
Yeah, so that's just, I'm leading by example. I get up and walk every morning. It's my time that I need. I need in the morning to connect spiritually, to kind of shift my mind into the right direction. And also, right, it promotes health.
Right. It's like a little minor bonus there.
Right. So we're doing those walks at Hopkins Park, and it's just a great time for fathers to get together, pray, community, right? Fathers need community in the right ways. We're not a golf club, but we are a club of men who are wanting to be stronger fathers. And so why not get out in the morning before your day starts, pray, have some good camaraderie, get your blood flowing. But statistically, and research has shown, it helps your whole day to get up and do some exercise.
I believe it, yeah.
So that's the whole goal behind that. It's just, I'm leading by example. I want to show fathers that you can do this. You can have a very, very well-rounded life despite you going through any type of hardships that you're going through. Sometimes it's the battle of the mind, right? So, if we're sitting down watching TV all day or playing video games all day, and that's how we start our day, then that's probably how our day is going to go. But if we can get up, get active, have some prayer involved, and then also burn some calories, it's all coming in.
That's great. Yeah. I'll ask you in January about that.
Okay.
Well, but I should point out, I work over at Hayes Gym there in Dekalb, and a lot of people come and walk inside there in the bad weather. So you guys could do that as well.
Absolutely. Especially when the weather gets colder, right?
We were talking to Marshall about various issues concerning fathers of faith. This is the one I'm most impressed by as Project Dad, Dads Against Depression, a flagship mental health initiative presented by Fathers of Faith, Inc. Growing crisis of depression, anxiety, emotional isolation among fathers, particularly those navigating divorce, custody battles, incarceration, poverty, and generational trauma. Tell us about that. This, again, it's another great acronym, Dads Against Depression, but it's so powerful. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be a little vulnerable. That's okay. I experienced depression myself while I was going through my own personal journey. And everything that we do here at Fathers of Faith is something that I personally experienced with. So I know if I dealt with it,
okay,
another father's dealing with it. So Project Dad is one of our pillar initiatives, and we're strong. And we're strong about making sure that fathers understand the importance of mental health and what that looks like, and not being afraid to speak up. So we're launching a 6-week series that is going to start tentatively September 23rd. We're getting our guest speakers together. I'll be speaking. I'll be holding some of the weekly sessions. They'll start on Tuesday for about 90 minutes. A little small group workshop, some education, and then some inspiration. And then the whole goal, right, is to foster and facilitate a environment where fathers are healing in the right way, right? The more fathers we talk to and we have in these series, the more fathers will know about it and feel comfortable coming back in and dealing with that and kind of going through their own custody battle themselves. I do want to mention that we are expanding. We just launched the Project Dad Court Referral Program. And this program is geared to help fathers who are currently going through custody battles as a way of saying, hey, they're voluntarily becoming a part of this program that teaches them how to be better fathers, how to deal with their issues, their emotions. And that documentation is going to then be presented with a completion certificate that they can utilize, hopefully within their court cases, to show, hey, they're making progress into the right direction. So, I mean, we have a lot of things going on, but it's a very big initiative that we need in Dekalb, because mental health is a serious thing.
Yeah, you know, we've done the suicide prevention show since 2007, and talked to a lot of parents of our kids where their father ended up taking his life, and it turned out that there was financial problems or emotional problems that the kids had no idea, and a lot of times the wife didn't even know about it either.
Right. And
so we saw that, didn't we, Marshall, growing up today, where the father kept everything to himself, finances for the house, any kind of problem within the family, he'll keep that to himself, and you just can't live like that.
You can't live like that, because it's a negative ripple effect, right? We talk about the positive ripple effects, but if fathers are holding emotions in, they're not talking about it, it's like a volcano, right? The pressures of COVID, the pressures of fatherhood itself, being a leader in the household, you know, the disparities that some fathers face of not being able to work. Men are about dignity, right, and respect. We want to be able to provide and things like this, but what happens when you can't provide? What happens, you know, when you fall on hard times? That shouldn't limit yourself as a father, right? So we need to encourage fathers to speak up, because I believe I've known some fathers who committed suicide because of their loss of dignity, and that's what we don't want. We don't want to see that, because that affects the kids, it affects the neighborhoods, and so forth. So, yeah, Project Dad is one of those things that will be here and affect the community for a long time.
Well, let's stay with that a little bit if we could, Marshall. When it comes to that depression of, for instance, when a gentleman is incarcerated, or when they move, the family moves away, and he doesn't have the finances to go and see the kids. How do you deal with it? How do you help guys get through that? Because you lose in parts. You didn't see them from 5 to 7 years old. You missed that whole part of your kid's life. But you can't make that up. But how do you get past that?
I personally, because I've dealt with this, I personally express to these men, these fathers, that you have to have a strong sense of self-worth and value. You have to know that you are a good father. You know, you have good intentions, but fatherhood sometimes means you have to deal with things that you would not otherwise have to deal with.
Right.
And so when it comes to that aspect of why we're doing what we're doing, it all wraps around the faith aspect. It doesn't necessarily have to end the way it begins, but you control the narrative, right? So you teach fathers, hey, how to have restraint, how to be emotionally intelligent when it comes to dealing with, their children or their partner or their wife or whoever it is. It's a different way we got to go about things these days. I mean, that's just the how it is. We already have so much stacked up against us by society's terms, where fathers are looked upon as some deadbeat dads. We've heard that. But not all dads are deadbeat dads. Some are blocked out, some are pushed away, and if you're not vocal about it, right, and you don't have the platform to discuss these issues, then you become silent. And that's a bad thing. That's where you start having those depression rates go up, the suicidal rates go up.
I believe it. Because what do you have to live for at that point?
Yeah, my kids are taken away from me. My ex-spouse is calling me names and degrading me, making me feel like less than whatever I want to feel like.
And just to add to that, what about other family members? Her sister and her brother saying he's no good and he'll never be any good, and they have to navigate through that too, right?
Navigate through that, and don't throw social media into it, right? We have that's a whole nother aspect of it. So I teach men to basically, and fathers to basically understand first, who are you? Who are we? What are our rights? What are our biblical rights as a father? There's one thing I want to point out is that it's really the father's job in the Bible that says fathers teach their kids and raise their kids, right? So we want to get back to letting the fathers know, hey, this is your biblical calling. This is a biblical calling. And not to put away the moms, but the narrative has changed over the years where fathers are playing the back burners where they should be on the front end. Okay, and that's kind of where we're going with it.
That really makes a lot of sense. I tell you. Now we talked about. Now, is it every Saturday you do the walking now? Or
every Saturday, depending on the weather. And I know we're going in the fall, where the temperatures are going to start dropping. But sunrise, we get out there early, and we stretch. We have a prayer, and like if you can keep up, we do about 3 laps. We hit the sled hill, but all paces.
Oh, do you go up to sled hill? I'm not. Count me out then.
Yeah, but all paces are walkable. I just think it's a wonderful thing to build community, right? Fathers need community. That's, we need community.
That's great. But I should end it right there. We get it right there. But I want to talk, we talked about the power of walking and then how people can help. And I see here you're asking therapists, social workers, counselors, or even a chaplain. You can make a difference in the lives of fathers who are overlooked and underserved. Pro bono or discounted services, lead a wellness workshop or prayer circle or help build a mental health referral. And you're getting this, aren't you? People are responding to this.
Yes, they're responding to the call because we are unique. This is something that's never been seen in Dekalb, from my understanding. And we need partnerships. We're collaborating with other organizations, other partnerships. We need funding. We need funders. So we are looking for volunteers right now, people that have expertise in finance, the legal realm, counseling, churches. We're here to help, and that's what our mission aligns with a lot of other missions in the county.
Well, it does. The mission is so good. We read the mission statement to start the interview, and it's just, I can't anybody having a problem with that and not wanting to help make that happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great thing, and it's a great cause, and I'm sure the stats and the data, once we start facilitating that out, will show, because the response has been overwhelming from the fathers. I'm just seeing on the street that they're recognizing my face and stopping me and saying, "Hey man, like I saw what you're doing. I love what you're doing. This is great." A lot of moms, a lot of aunts.
Sure. Because you're not taking away from them, right?
No, but here's the thing. You mentioned a good point. What about the other family members that are watching these fathers go through? I've had more women, moms, aunts, sisters come to me and say, "Hey man, I watched my brother go through this. I watched my father go through this." I met a father and a daughter, out in a local establishment that were enjoying themselves, and they started hearing what I was doing, and they said, "You know what, you're doing a great job," because the other parent kept me away from my dad for 20 years.
Oh boy!
And so what you have to understand, we have to understand as parents, any type of alienation or separation that's not lawful and not thorough, it can affect the child for years. Mm-hmm. Until adults. That's why we have so many problems as adults, because our buckets weren't filled when we were kids.
Well, we see it. I know this would be a whole other show, Marshall.
Right.
When
invite me back to you.
When a couple gets divorced, inevitably the kids are, and sometimes the kids are used against the other partner, right?
Yeah. It's a chess game, man, and that's another thing that fathers, I teach fathers as well, and either parents. Let's be mindful how this is going to affect the kids, because one day they will know.
Yeah. And we see that, don't they? Get old enough to go, "Mom, why did you keep us away from Dad all the time?"
Or Dad, why, vice versa.
Right, where were you at, Dad?
Right. So, whether it's the mom or the father, we have to understand and realize that the kids, it's about the kids. And they're different kids these days, what you say? So they pick up on things way faster than we did growing up, And so I want to encourage those out there, if you guys are dealing with something like that, be mindful about how this is affecting your child, because it's gonna come back, and how you handle it. Fathers, I'm talking to you. How you handle these situations, it's going to show how much love you have for your children 20 years down the road. So don't just count on what's happening now. Make sure that you're standing in the gap for your kids. You're praying. You're looking at your generational blessings and breaking those generational curses.
All right, good. Well, you're just a walking quote factory there. But yeah, my stepson, I just had this book I read about Germany in the 30s about book burning, and there's some adult themes there. And my granddaughter, 17, I asked her, "Do you think this is too mature for her to read?" And he goes, "No, like you just said, Marsh." She goes, No. The kids now are 10 years advanced from when we were at that age.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But they can handle those mature concepts, though.
I think they're watching. So they are watching. I don't know if you have a pet, TD, but
Oh yes.
Okay, our pets, they watch us way more than we think, right? Mm-hmm. Kids are the same way. They're understanding what's going on. They're observing. They're listening. So when you have those situations, those conflicts, right? You got to be mindful because they're taking notes, and then they're taking notes on how to act as an adult in the future, right?
Well, it's just like, it's funny, a dog cartoon I saw where, where it said, they're part of your world, but you're their entire world.
Exactly.
And the kids, when they're kids, you're their entire world,
That's
right?
it. That's it, man. They want to see both parents. They want to see both parents happy.
Mm-hmm.
They want to thrive, and they just get caught in the middle. You know what I mean? And it's sad, but I want to encourage those out there who are going through these type of situations to stay prayed up, be faithful, and think about your kids and the generational curses that you're breaking.
I like a lot of things about you, Marshall, but you're not preachy. You're not all preachy and all, Jesus and all that stuff. You're not.
My approach is pretty raw. I mean, my testimony is raw. It took me a while to come into my vulnerability of expressing and telling people about what I've dealt with. But that's the power in speaking up, because now, I'm not the only one that has dealt with that. And I knew that. Mm-hmm. But, I'm now that person who's able to make it aware, make this issue aware, and give other fathers a platform to get their dignity back, strive for success, and be the best father they can be.
And to wrap things up here now, again, big things. You guys have done so much in such a short period of time. There will be a national headquarters of Father of Faith, Inc., a state-of-the-art training center, a regional diaper bank, fatherhood support hub, a spiritual development campus for men and families in crisis, a home for hope, healing, and father-focused transformation. So,
yeah.
That's going to be here in Dekalb. Huh?
Yeah, man, that's the vision. That's the vision. And the vision is to provide a place, right? The first faith-led, father-centered diaper bank emergency relief center in the state of Illinois, actually the Midwest, and probably the nation, because we just need a place for fathers to be able to come in and learn their soft and hard skills, get the counseling they need, legal toolkits and legal clinics. We're hoping to have a basketball gym to provide safe environment for fathers and kids to enjoy and bond.
Okay.
And then the training center for our volunteers and our boardroom. So yeah, that's our vision. We're mapping it out. We're getting with the city hopefully here pretty soon. I'm shouting out to the mayors out there in Sycamore and DeKalb, and just want to make sure that we're providing a vision for what's to come, because we believe, right, if we provide that, imagine the great things that are going to come out of all these fathers that are now empowering DeKalb. Mm-hmm. It's going to be transformational. And so that's what we're looking for.
I started doing these podcasts. I focused on the DeKalb mayor and the Alderman and Sycamore mayor and the Cortland mayor. But somebody said, "Well, you're ever going to do like a show that might go national, where people might be interested nationally?" And here it is. You just gave it to me, Marshall, because I know you're not going to be just the Midwest. You're going to be across the nation with this.
Absolutely.
You got a great quote here at how we end with this. So let me give you the final word, and I'll end with this quote here. What do you want to say? What's your final thing? Father, so we check you guys out at Fathers of Faith Inc.
Yeah, you guys can check us out.
Great website, by the way.
www.fathersoffaith.org. We have all the information on there. Please go to our donate link on our site. We're in desperate need of funding. Once again, we've done all this stuff with zero funding, but now we're scalable. We're looking to scale. We are 501c3 tax exempt. So for all those onlookers that want to know if this is real, we are federally recognized. We're here to stay. We're ready to go.
I love how it's a movement. You go, this is not a trend. It's not a movement.
That's right.
And when you talk about the building, this is not more than a building. It's a movement.
That's right.
And you end it with this. We believe the future of fatherhood starts here. By faith, we're building it brick by brick. And I think that's what you're doing, man. And you got a great foundation going, Marshall. I'm so thrilled that you took time to talk with us today. And I just can't thank you enough for what you do, because it's such a positive thing, and only good things will come of it.
That's right. Well, I appreciate you, TD, for having me. I look forward to coming back in the future to give you guys some updates, but it's been a pleasure.
That is Marshall Hendricks of Father of Faith, Inc., and that is TD Ryan Unleashed podcast number 23. TD Ryan Unleashed is brought to you by Scott Zyman, your State Farm insurance agent. Scott can help you save money bundling your home and auto insurance. Call 815-748-3101 or stop by at 2587 Sycamore Road, Suite D in DeKalb. Like a good neighbor, Scott Zyman and State Farm are there. Pizza Villa, pizza, pasta, sandwiches, and more at 824 West Lincoln Highway in DeKalb. For delivery or pickup, call 815-758-8116 or go to pizzavilla.com. My Insurance Guys in Sycamore, family owned, local, reliable. My Insurance Guys cover Medicare to auto auto, and everything in between. Call us in Sycamore at 815-899-0950. My Insurance Guy. Business, auto, home, life, and health at myinsurancegyy.com. And Elder Care Services of Dekalb County. Safe, secure, and supported. Helping you stay at home where you want to be. Call 815-758-6550 or stop in at 1701 East Lincoln Highway in DeKalb or on the web at ecsdecalb.org.